We start off this run with my favorite historical mission, the Battle of Agincourt. We start off with a mix of moving units around and pausing the game. There's a bit of micro required here, so a swordman or longbowman doesn't get killed by a tower knight. This mission is just all about getting Henry V back to England, and what we have here is what we'll have for the rest of the mission. As you can see, we start with some wood and gold, and we'll be able to use that to either repair our battering rams that we start off with, or to do some clever work at the end of the game. Clean up these knights and heal your units. There isn't too much fighting left that needs to be done, but the less risk the better. Use Henry V to bait out Green's units, the scout cavalry and these skirmishers. You just want to deal with these. You can kill them with your army, but unnecessary risk. I've lost sometimes a longbowman here randomly, and it's just better not having to deal with it. Now we've reached the effective halfway point of this mission. We're going to go ahead and use our 2 rams to kill this university, and what that's going to do is going to give us chemistry research for our longbowmen, which is going to be helpful at the end. We're also going to use 2 of our monks to convert 2 or 3 green villagers, just to keep on the side in case we need to repair something. We're going to go ahead and use Henry V here to bait the castle. We're going to send our 2 battering rams forward to take the castle down. I was reasonably sure that these 2 battering rams could have dealt with the castle by themselves, but again, unnecessary risk. This is the last battle side of the mission where we face off against the French knights. We're going to go ahead and wall in our longbowmen with the wood and gold that we got at the beginning of the mission with the 2 villagers we converted. Once that's done, we're going to take Henry V as a tankier unit. He's going to lure the French cavalry up to the longbowmen and just pace back and forth until they die. A couple of times I've done this mission and I haven't built the palisade walls. The French knights will randomly aggro on the longbowmen and manage to kill one of them. So this is just a safer way of finishing this battle. And with that, you've melted away any real opposition. All that's left is a couple castles and towers in your way. You just clear the rest of the way and you board a French transport ship and drop King Henry back off in England and win the mission. And there we have it, 0 deaths. This is the second mission in Venezuela. The whole goal of this is to get Leif Erikson to the New World. We're going to start this off by building a mill next to these deer and killing up some villagers. Our end goal here is to have about 7 to 8 villagers and 500 food. Our whole game plan here is to copy speedrunning strat for this. All we really want in the beginning here is the 500 food to advance the feudal age and to get enough wood to have 2 docks and 2 transport ships. This whole strategy runs around bypassing having to go through Greenland like you normally would have to and skirting the edge around the Sea of Worms. And that's why we need to gather the wood that we need to build this transport ship. And now that we have the wood that we need, we're going to go ahead and send a villager over and go ahead and build this dock. And then a couple seconds later, once we skip ahead, we're going to go ahead and queue up that transport ship. Once again, effectively now at this point, half the mission is already over. We're going to grab Leif Erikson and 2 villagers, load them up, and start sailing them west. In the meanwhile, we're going to leave the rest of the villagers behind and keep chopping wood. We're going to need them for the last part of the mission. You're going to see me be a little cautious with my transport ship and really kind of hug it due west for a little bit until I slightly tuck it north to find the edge of Greenland. I really don't want to run into a green longboat here, because if I do that, I'll probably kill my transport unit and I'll have to restart the mission. You're watching my transport ship kind of bumble around west of Norway here, just trying to figure out when I go north to find Greenland. You know, it reminds me that I always liked this mission for the artistic design with the Sea of Worms and how you can see it on the map. You know, the developers really could have just had it a blanket kill zone with the warning not to go west, but I always liked that they took the time to physically draw out a sea worm. Now that I've found the southern tip of Greenland, now kind of have to tread carefully a little bit because one wrong misclick here and we'll just kill this transport ship. All I want to do is bring it a little closer to the southwest tip, as far as I can get to the southwest tip of Greenland, to disembark Leif Erikson and these villagers without losing the transport ship in the process. There's 1 green tower here on this tip of Greenland, and we're going to rush Leif Erikson forward, and we're just going to put him on no attack stance. And his whole job is just take the shots from the tower so these 2 villagers can go forward and build a transport ship. This is going to be the last opposition we face this mission. All that's left this mission is for the villagers back home to keep chopping wood. We're going to need it for 12 houses, a market, and a town center in the new world that we're about to discover. So while they're doing that, we're just going to have to make our last transport ship, load the villagers, and leave Erickson up, and head on over. This is an easy enough campaign that you could do it the legit way, but since a lot of Age of Empires missions, if you want to do it deathless, require a lot of hiding behind castles or towers or walls and ranged units and slowly pushing forward, I always like taking these opportunities to do a couple little skips that people have discovered. Alright, now I gotta build those buildings that I talked about a second ago. Normally, when you land, people will disembark, leave Erickson right at the beginning. This will prompt the natives to attack, and since it's just Leaf and 2 villagers, we don't really want that problem right now. So we're just going to disembark the villagers. Now that everything's either laid out to be built or built, we're going to go ahead and buy the last bit of wood we need, demo our town center back home, and build a town center in the new world. Once that's finished, we're going to disembark Leaf Erickson and win this mission. Easy enough. Unfortunately, Venezuela is the last easy mission I did. The other 2 missions are probably easy. They weren't for me. I just took forever for me to do, unfortunately. After a little bit of dialogue, it finally goes to the victory credits, and then we can see the score screen. Actually liked that there are absolutely no kills this mission. On to Hastings, 3rd mission I did, Deathless, for this run. Normally, pretty easy mission. You just have to kill a castle. It's the big orange castle in the middle of the map. Deathless is a little more annoying with Harold Harada up there in the north. Gives you units you don't really want. You can avoid that by not allying him, which is what I did here. To start off this mission, you're just going to boom your economy, and that's it. There is a speedrunning world record for this. I believe it's held by Tay. He did it in like 3 minutes in game time. It's just difficult. You rush to Imperial Age, rush villagers over, and William the Conqueror over to Orange. Use William the Conqueror to bait bomber towers, build a castle, build a trebuchet, knock it out. I tried it a couple times and I just kept getting rushed by the Saxon army, so I just decided to do it slow and painfully. Because of that, you're going to see me killing the Saxon raiders here, get rid of that production problem in Normandy, and I'm just going to keep booming. At the end of the day, what I'm going to want is I'm going to want to block the Saxon Navy's ships from harassing me. If I can stop them from harassing me, then I can get this mission over so much quicker. And I've said this before, the main reason you'll see the time in game take so long is this is going to be the 4th or 5th or 6th attempt of doing this. And a lot of times I'll get impatient, think I've got it under control, rush units forward to just try to take care of the objective, and then just lose a villager to a halberdier and just have to restart the mission. So I just do slow and painful just so I could get through it for good. Now I'm making trebuchets. I'm going to knock out one of the 3 Saxon Raider docks, and I research spies so I can keep an eye on what the enemy's doing so I don't get a surprise champion or halberdier in my economy line. As we see here just now with spies, I saw this little siege army come forward. I can bring my paladins up. Castle will deal with the champions, paladins to deal with rams and whatever infantry are left over. Sending some villagers northwest. I'm just going to build a castle here and wall it in to just completely stop any further naval harassment. I can't be bothered to go kill the docks themselves. Unnecessary risk, and this is just another means to an end, and also keep killing whatever longships are off still patrolling around from Teal. This attack by the Saxon army is the only real concentrated attack they've given to me now on the English mainland. I would say it's kind of disappointing, but I'm just glad there's not a lot of harassment. At this point, I was pretty done with the mission. All that's left now is to slowly creep up with trebuchets. I didn't really need to build walls anymore. I didn't really need walls the entire time on the English mainland, to be quite honest with you. But again, this is like the 5th time of doing this mission. I did not want to run the risk of an AI just randomly deciding to attack these trebuchets and killing me here. Now we wait for the little dialogue to play out, and then we finally get to credits again. Third mission done. We see here we've killed about 278 Saxons. No Norman losses. Fourth and final mission of this run before I start the next one. I love York. I love playing it when I play it normally. Massive, ludicrous size mission. You have like 4 or 5 different paths you can take to win this mission. Can really only do one of them in this Deathless run, which is to build the Wonder in Northumbria. We're going to start off here. We're going to grab our starting longboats and our transports. We're just going to head due northwest all the way to the north landing site. The reason we go all the way to the north is there's really only one AI that attacks you, and it's Wessex. Wessex sends ships after you. Those ships over time, especially as you're busy fighting their army on land, will absolutely kill a transport ship or a longboat. We want to be up here in the north, so we have a choke point to build a castle or some towers to help contend with their navy. All we're going to do now is boom up an economy, get to Castle Age as quickly as we can to start putting down some defensive walls and castles, and wait for our main army to arrive, which is just longboats, which is largely going to be useless to us anyway. I really could have trimmed some of those houseboating footage out, but I wanted you to appreciate that I really have to build a lot of houses for all these stupid longboats that show up. Wish I could delete them. It would count as a unit loss. So unfortunately I have to build these houses if I want to build villagers. But in the meantime, we're just keeping the economy up. We need the economy to make our trebuchets, berserkers that we're going to be making since they're a little tankier. I don't want to make cavalry. I could have this game, but I was just really afraid of their Celtic units just countering the hell out of my cavalry. So we're going to queue up a couple more houses because in a couple minutes longboats show up. And when these longboats show up, we're just going to sail them directly south towards the Britons, Scots, and Welsh. And we're just going to start hitting some of the production over here. I couldn't remember if they actually made units at all, but I just gradually cleared out production as I made my way to Northumbria anyway. I built the second town center. I'm not entirely sure why, because in Deathless games, you want to boom, but you don't want to have too many villagers that you lose track of them and they wander off and do something stupid like die. But I think I did make a lot of villagers. I think I just put them purely on cutting wood to make trebuchets. I guess I thought I would need a lot of trebuchets for this campaign. And in the meantime, just keeping the longboats, killing whatever production they have. Then I remember that I should actually be building those towers and castles that I talked about doing before, and the whole reason I came up north. As I'm looking around, I actually find a good spot to build a castle, but there are trees in the way. So I gotta take all those villagers I made and shift them over there to cut those trees down real quick. We got this castle finishing up as Wessex is sending more and more ships. So this castle is going to protect these longboats. After this, these longboats are going to be retired all the way to the north of the map. Now that I've got an economy, got some berserkers, trebuchets, going on the offensive, my whole shtick here is just clearing out the immediate Welsh towns next to me. Again, I couldn't remember if they produce units or not. Didn't want to risk it. Makes the map look a little cleaner too as I move forward, clear them out, build my own little fortresses where they once stood. We're clearing out the last Welsh town of this entire mission that we're going to be dealing with. After this, we're going to link up with Hadrian's Wall, build a nice little choke point there, and start the sieges of Northumbria. Really gonna watch the Wessex this game because they'll just randomly send units to try and kill one trebuchet or one berserker that you have. I end up making a pit stop to another Welsh town purely for the intention of getting some relics. I was a little unsure how much gold I'd actually need attacking Northumbria, so might as well get some relics, see if there's any gold left over while I'm here. Now we're just getting ready for the final offensive. I'm going to build a checkpoint wall here at Hadrian's Wall and then panic when I see some Wessex troops and hide behind my berserkers. It really is little things like this where you get a little overconfident, send villagers unguarded ahead of your army that end up dying and you have to restart a run that's already 2 hours in game time. So we're going to mop up these Wessex units real quick and resume our offensive. Our primary objective right now is killing the 2 Northumbria forts right behind the actual capital. We clear these out and all that's left is all the production of Northumbria dead in front of us. Even being this close to finishing this mission, I still wanted to take time to grab relics because, you never know, just in case. Beginning the siege of Northumbria, I did not realize how many units they would make. I had already thought at this point, I've made a lot of castles. This is kind of overkill. I don't neat to hide behind all these castles. But let me tell you, once I started breaching these walls, it was a constant stream of infantry that Northumbria was sending out. It was too much. My berserker force would have died. Someone would have died to this. Even if I had made archers and scorpions, someone would have died to this. This was just a terrible experience. I think I probably spent like 30 or 40 minutes in real life just trying to build a wonder here. After already killing all the forward yellow production, it was just the constant stream of potential danger to a villager or a unit that really stressed me out the most in this mission. The thing that sucks is it doesn't look like a lot in this footage, but there were a couple of times I would look over, having just looked at a perfectly healthy trebuchet. I would look at my town, I'd look back, and it'd have like 10 health. This was just undue stress. I mean, the constant waves of just heavy scorpions and Celtic infantry was so toxic, the Vikings didn't want to be here anymore. They finished that wonder, and we were done with this nightmare of a mission. I don't know what makes me sadder, that I killed somehow 2,000 units, or that most of them died in Northumbria. But whoever watched this, thanks for watching. You know, this all started because I saw a Reddit post of someone claiming to beat campaign missions Deathless, and they offered no proof whatsoever. So I just wanted to be at least someone that has some amount of proof of doing nightmare, tedious missions. And, you know, I'm doing the rest of the historical missions, and as soon as I figure out how to beat Kyoto without losing my starting 3 or 4 samurai, then I think I'll be good on Deathless original missions. After that, I'll probably start doing some of the custom campaigns like Apronic. I've played that before already. It'd be interesting to try and do that Deathless.